Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live, finally. Third time is the charm. Tonight, love again and again and again and again and again. Storm be damned. Our best to those on the east coast of the States and the east coast of Canada. Stay safe, look after yourselves, stay warm. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of February, already in 2021. Over 8% of the year is already gone by, and you are here live with the still toothless tiger for one more day. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock sharp, I go down to the denturist and I get my new set of dentures, and then Kelly is going to pick up Chinese food, and I'm going to eat food with my new teeth. It's been a journey, and it's been a lot of fun too. And believe it or not, anything that helps belittle your ego in any sort of way at all, and there's a reason why I use that term, okay, is actually beneficial for you. Anything, if you want to check to see if there's any trace of ego in you, lose your teeth, get a new scar on your face, whatever the case may be. And, and for me, it's just the realization that I just don't care. Like, it's just a car, just a vehicle I'm driving around. Things are going to happen to it. I've been blessed to have had an abundance of experience in it, many lifetimes worth in one shell. It's been a total gift. So, first of all, on the subject of which we're going to speak tonight, let me express my complete love for you, just as you are. There is nothing more or less than you need to be right in this moment. And that is true for every moment you are in. Now, why is this, as I said in the original post, I think way back for Monday night or maybe Sunday night? Human beings take what is really a simple subject, and this is what ego tends to do, and have twisted it into a big confusing knot. And that big confusing knot we would call love. So let's be crystal clear that you live, swim, are made of love. The base essence of all there is that love. And you are part and parcel of that love. Now, that may seem to be an interesting definition of love, but you have to understand what love is once we look beyond that really limited definition still, even though it sounds so grand, so magnificent. Well, what does that really mean? It means that every single thing around you is part of you. Every single thing around you is representative of that love. And what is that love really? As you wish. As I've spoken about in a previous video, and for anyone who's new and hasn't seen that video, the very interesting thing about The Princess Bride, that movie, that wonderful little movie from way back in the day now, was that true love, which was the only thing anyone was ever willing to take any action over, not love, but true love. The only thing that farm boy kept saying over and over again was as you wish. And whether you believe in a creative consciousness or a more deified form of the creator, it matters not to me. But what you need to understand is that the whole of the cosmos operates on as you wish. Now, as with all things that are in this relative universe, in this entirety, right? All of this in this physical realm, that creative essence expressing itself into creating, manifesting the physical in order to experience itself. This is the beautiful gift in which we live. So here you are expressed out as an apparent individuation. And that may be your limited point of view. But you are actually the whole manifest in one particular form, as I am the whole manifest in another particular form. And so is that tree, and so is that plant. Now, again, what does this really have to do with love? Well, the whole idea of love is really as you wish. But that silent, unspoken side that we live in this relative universe says everything has its own feedback. There are always both energies at work, balance. We live in a relativistic universe. A lot of people have no concept what that means. It means that you can never have an absolute. You can't. You can get really close to an absolute, but you can't have an absolute. Why? Because you're in a relative universe. And relative means at all times there has to be something else there in order to get an experience of this. You need to consider it relative to this. So for example, someone says, well, how hot is it? Well, you can't explain hot if hot was only an absolute. You have to have the balance of cold. You wouldn't even know what hot was. So this is the truth of the universe we live in, and everything in it has its own punishment if you must. If you must go there, if you need to feel punished, if you need to feel that there's some aspect of creation that's going to beat down on you, then understand that every action you take has its own natural punishment. I personally wouldn't use such a word. I like the word consequence. It offers the opportunity for growth, for evolution. People don't grow through punishment very often. It tends to push them inside. So why are we adding all this into this discussion about love? Well, it's really important to get that love, by its very nature, is a one-way connection. There is only an appearance of an object and a subject. When I use the words, I love you, I'm sticking to convention because it's understandable. But in all honesty, the thing I would prefer to do would be to stand amongst you and simply look upon you and say the word loving, which is an indication of a state of being. And this ultimately, when it comes right down to it in our, elusive idea of the self that is here individuated, this is what love really is. It is a one-way street. It is an expression of my realization of our oneness and our wholeness and your sovereign right to do as you will as I have. Why? Because I've learned that we live in a universe that naturally self-corrects itself. This is why? Because we're loved. And we live in that love and we swim in that love. So and really, I'm not trying to beat down on anyone here, and I would never do such a thing, but need to make something abundantly clear. If you're placing demands on another person in terms of what you feel they should or should not be doing, how they should or should not react, or should not treat you, you don't love them. That's not what love is. Love says as you wish, but you're the source of love for yourself. You have to realize that and allow yourself to love as fully, yourself, sorry, as fully as you possibly can. And that means, as I said in the earlier post today, accepting full responsibility for exactly where you are right now. No one else is to blame. There's no one to blame. You're not to blame, but you're damn well responsible. Now, that may sound harsh, but it is the greatest gift to you because when you accept full responsibility for your life, you re-inherit all the power that you came here with in that heartbeat. Love does not fear what another is going to do. Love does not demand what another should or should not do. That's a form of possession. It's attempting to exert control over someone or something, and that is never love. You are beyond control. I would never consider controlling anyone around me. Do as you will and reap the consequences. But I'll tell you something. I love myself enough to know when a person's presence is deleterious to myself, my energy levels, the state of what I'm trying to create in my space, whatever it may be, and that allows me to move that person out of that space from a loving point of view. And I don't take on any of their guilt or recrimination in the concept that somehow I'm not loving them enough or the way that they wish to be loved. So, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to honestly look at your relationships and see where your definition of love isn't really hitting the mark. A lot of the times, the reason it's not hitting the mark is because somebody has programmed you, you've fallen into the belief or the idea that there's something less about you without someone else to say you're worthy of being loved. Again, that's a two-way street, of course. And that's a big part of the problem, isn't it? Because if you accept the concept that you need someone to tell you that you're worthy of being loved, it's a relative universe. You got to take the other side of that. And the other side of that is you're not worthy to be loved. And depending who, what, and when, you're likely to experience both of those. You are the source of love. The idea that someone else loving you does actually anything at all for you is crap, for lack of a better word. All it does is trigger what you are inside of you. That's all it does. It creates a resonant vibration, but you don't need that external to create it. And I'm not saying give up on external relationships because you really don't need them in terms of feeling loved. I'm not saying that at all. But if you want a better relationship, if you want a more stable relationship, if you want to explore and experience what it means to truly love someone, make as you wish for both yourself and them your mantra of love. The core of as you wish is, of course, the fundamental law of this creation, free will. Everything in this creation has free will. I know it seems hard to believe. Biblically speaking, man was the only thing, and that's because, boy, did we have to be special. And we are special. Each of us is a unique representation of that loving, creative essence, God personified. There is no thing, no place where that divine light does not shine and compose, and it is literally composed of that divine light. Any illusion of darkness you carry, any sense of trying to control, is not about love. It's been misinterpreted. And you need to look at yourself and you need to understand why. A lot of times we bought in so deeply to the idea that we need someone else to be with us or love us that we find ourselves willing to sacrifice, without even knowing a lot of times, things that we would never have given away before. And that's called a trading relationship. And I'm not saying it's not okay to be in a trading relationship, but you need to understand that that's what it is. It's a trading relationship. There's a perception of something missing in you, and there's a perception of something missing in someone else. I'm here to tell you tonight that you are a whole and complete being, and you always have been, and you always will be. Do not allow yourself to entertain any thought that would see you as less than that. How does one love as freely and openly as Christ? And if you look at Christ, that's exactly the way he loved. He basically said to everyone, as you wish. Right? He didn't love one of those sick people more than he loved the other sick person. He didn't love one of them and not love the other one. He loved them enough to know that he could have healed them all, but not against their will. And it was said in the Bible that some were healed and some were not. The ones who were not healed weren't not healed because they were loved less or not loved. They were not healed because Christ loved them and wasn't going to violate as you wish, wasn't going to violate their free will. It's actually quite easy to love someone truly when you recognize that you're the source of that love. And any love that you perceive is coming from outside yourself is simply your own love reverberating in response to the love welling up in them. But don't kid yourself. It's not coming from external sources. When someone says, I can feel the love, it's not hitting them in a wave. Well, it is hitting them in a wave. But it's not the wave they're feeling. They're feeling the source of the wave, which is in them already, right there all the time. Now, what does love mean in terms of bad situations? Love means that you recognize yourself even in the one you would call enemy. Now, in a real world sense, that would make the difference between injuring somebody as opposed to killing them, restraining them as opposed to putting them in the hospital and doing them harm, speaking to them gently and making them aware that you care about them and letting them know what you observe appears to be happening with them, perhaps, and offering to help them if they want it. This is probably the hardest place of all, is when it comes to someone that we know in our lives or that we become aware of, and we see that their behavior is creating the harm to themselves. That there really isn't an external life against them, it's them doing it to themselves. And a lot of times, perhaps as parents or family members or best friends, whatever the case may be, we think we're helping someone by attempting to control them. What happens when you're no longer pulling the strings on the person? It's more than likely they're going to go back to the same behavior again. As a matter of fact, it's even more likely that that behavior will become exacerbated because attempting to control anything creates dysfunction by its nature. And it can be very difficult to have a loved one who's harming themselves in some way and to look at them and want to half strangle the life out of them to get the point across and realize that all as we really can do if we truly want to honor what and who they are is to lovingly point it out and say, I can no longer take part in enabling you to harm yourself. I will be here to support you and help you, but you need to be the one to take the step to help yourself. And if you choose to stay in this miserable place, I will still love you, and I will not judge you. A sure sign that you're learning to truly love is when you cease to judge and you begin to understand that every action, every word, every outbreak, every outburst all comes from where a person sees themselves to be at, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the world around them, their point of view. Truly loving someone is recognizing that that point of view is causing dysfunction. Realizing that as a part of yourself, you too have experienced what they're experiencing. And knowing that because it's been brought into your awareness, that loving creative force that manifests all of this has asked you to fill in on its behalf and demonstrate that love. That's it. That's all tonight. Try to keep it short and sweet. I'm glad we could keep a good video running tonight. Namaste to you all. Again, my deepest love. We will speak again very soon.